bright lights of New York's Times Square, a mystery secretly waits. Until construction workers hired to clear the basement of an old building in February 2003 dig up more than they expected.
In the northeasternmost corner of the basement, they discovered a concrete platform. One of the construction workers took a hammer and struck the top of it, and it broke. They discovered a rust-colored fabric.
It was an old rug, and wrapped inside of it was an old secret.
When they pulled on the rug, a skull came out.
Police technicians carefully broke up the concrete slab, exposing the skeletal remains of a woman and evidence of a horrible crime.
There was an extension cord and some pantyhose in the vicinity of the neck, the back of the hands, and behind the legs, which would sort of imply that she was trussed or tied up in a fetal-like position before the concrete was poured on her.
NYPD Detective Gerard Gardner found himself in the middle of what police call a bone case, an old murder with few clues.
You don't have any ID with the body, you don't have any fingerprints, you don't immediately know whether it's a male or a female. You don't have the luxury of seeing if they have any scars or tattoos. By the mere nature of the circumstances, it's extremely difficult. We're still trying to determine whether or not she was dead when she was buried.
So with the help of forensic anthropologist Amy Munsdorf, he pieced together a portrait of his Jane Doe, beginning with the bones themselves.
She was fairly young and her bones had not finished growing, but likely she's somewhere between 18 and 20. She's likely probably around 5'1". She had a lot of specific racial characteristics that we look for on the skull. A fairly pointy chin, and the shape of her eye orbits, and the shape of her skull. Everything indicated that she was a white female.
Using measurements from the skull, a forensic artist created this sketch of how the young woman might have looked. The skull also revealed something else significant about the victim, that she was probably brought up in a middle-class family.
Her teeth had some good dental work in them, and it's a good indication that she had dental care and someone was paying for it and someone was taking care of her and her teeth. But she also had some teeth that were beginning to rot. So somewhere along her life, she had a change in her socioeconomic status.
To Detective Gardner, that spoke volumes. It meant his victim was probably one of the many runaways drawn to the bright lights of Manhattan. Even in its darkest days, Times Square was a magnet for them.
A young person arriving in the Port Authority on a bus would, easily be preyed upon by a pimp. And the pimps would take them and force them to work for them.
There were glittery pieces of fabric recovered amongst the remains, consistent with what streetwalkers would wear to attract attention from motorists. We're sort of leaning toward the fact that she was a prostitute.
The question now was, when did her life change? How far back in the past would the detective have to go to solve this case? The 1969 dime found with the bones told him the murder could have occurred more than 30 years ago. That's a lot of ground to cover. He needed to narrow the time frame. Some little scraps of plastic found at the crime scene helped him do just that.
Although none of the pieces fit together like a jigsaw puzzle, I could see that they were most likely from the same packaging. And what I saw was pets, bait, animals, a large letter A in red with possibly a T next to it.
When all the pieces were in place, Lisa realized she'd found a plastic bag that once contained rat poison. The specific brand, Talon, wasn't marketed until 1979. That meant the murder could not have occurred before then. Now Detective Gardner's time frame was down to 2 decades. The forensic scientists helped him trim it even further.
Detective Gardner submitted soil and dirt from the crime scene, and inside that dirt was what appeared to be a label of some sort. It was very dirty. After cleaning it and looking at it under a microscope, I was able to see 2 seals. One of them said International Ladies Garment Workers Union. I called the manufacturer and asked, is there a way to tell what year this was manufactured? And he told me to look for digits and 2 letters above the seal. And with those numbers and letters, he was able to tell me that this label could not have existed before December 1987.
All these clues told Detective Gardner the victim probably arrived in New York in the mid-'80s, and the murder occurred sometime after 1987. Unfortunately, the victim's description could fit thousands of women who'd been reported missing in that period. But Detective Gardner had a key clue he hoped would point to just one person. On the pinky finger of the skeleton's right hand was a small gold signet ring. The letters PMCG or PMCG are engraved on it. The bottom of the ring is cracked. It's gold-plated, so not worth much money. But to Detective Gardner, this small ring is invaluable. It could be the clue that breaks his murder case open.
We took the initials from the ring, and I got a nationwide listing of every woman ever arrested or reported missing with those initials.
There were more than 500 PMCGs. None of them turned out to be Detective Gardner's young victim. That doesn't mean the ring is a dead end. Far from it. According to the jewelry experts we showed the ring to, the G could be a middle, not a last initial. The person who owned the ring had a last name starting with MC. That would make it PG Mac something. So now, there's a whole new list of names to go through, and it's a long one. Remember all the clues. The victim is believed to be white, 18 to 20 years old, and about 5'1". She may have looked like this sketch. Most important of all, take another look at this gold signet ring. You can get a longer look at our website, amw.com. Somewhere, a family is waiting for answers. If you can help, please call us at 1-800-CRIME-TV. Now, there's one more clue in this case we want you to know about. Investigators also found this in the concrete, a plastic toy soldier. No one knows why it was wrapped in the rug with the body. Perhaps it was placed there by the killer, or maybe it was something important to the victim. If you can shed any light on this clue, or if you want to investigate this case some more, please go to our website, amw.com. We know this is a tough case, but we also know somebody out there has information that can crack it. Maybe it's you. Now stay with us. We'll be right back.